HVAC 360, episode number 32, FieldAware software. Hey, welcome back to another episode of HVAC 360. I am your host, Matt Nelson. Thanks for tuning in. Today, this episode starts a new series that I have, fresh from the floor of the AHR Expo. I recently came back from Chicago from the 2012 AHR Expo in Chicago at McCormick Center, which is a really nice venue to have these things at. So basically, what this one is it's going to be about FieldAware software. I got a chance to catch up with Karl Schneider, who's the VP of Marketing over there at FieldAware Software, and I guess one of the neat things about these series is you're going to have a little bit more background music. It's all taken on the floor show floor, and so it's kind of like you're there. So. It was really neat to be able to meet Karl and all the people there in his booth. The neat thing about that is that when you were there, everybody was dressed up. You know, their little gimmick was everybody was dressed up with a service tech shirt, so everybody had their name embroidered, on the patch there, and so I thought that was kind of neat with them. So I won't belabor this any much longer. So we'll cut right to the tape with Karl. So here it goes. We're here on the floor of the AHR Expo here in Chicago. I'm here with Karl Schneider, the VP of Marketing for FieldAware. How you doing, Ken? Karl?
Good, Matt. How are you?
Good. Hey, now, can you tell me a little bit about what FieldAware is?
Well, FieldAware in a nutshell is field service management software for small and medium field service providers. So everyone from an HVAC provider to pest control, electrical, plumbing, what have you. We basically help those small and medium businesses optimize their business and squeeze more margin out of it by digitizing their workflow to eliminate the paperwork bottlenecks that are inherent in any paperwork workflow, as well as giving them full visibility to their business, real-time visibility throughout every business day.
Now, what are the typical the features that come with the FieldAware software that are built in?
Well, the core features that most people are looking for are, number one, customer management. So the basic CRM functionality of being able to manage customers with multiple locations, multiple contacts is a possibility, and the ability to link those together in any way they see fit, as well as the basic work order functionality. So again, most businesses have these paper work orders that they're paying printers to produce, they're buying in bulk or what have you, and they're sending out in the field with their techs. Again, by digitizing that process, we've basically moved that to the computer. So in the office space, much more efficient population and management of those work orders, as well as a digital signal right to their field techs, getting those work orders on their smart devices, such as Apple mobile devices or Android mobile devices.
Okay, so they can use their smartphones to manage this. Now, the software itself, is it a cloud-based service? Is it
Absolutely.
an app?
We're a full cloud-based service and a full SaaS model. So there's no upfront costs associated with our app. That's just a low monthly fee per user. And basically that gives the small medium business the total flexibility where they don't have to commit to a $10,000 or $20,000 installation up front and hope they get the benefit out of it. Basically, they're rolling on a monthly basis, seeing the value, seeing their return on investment every single month.
Now, is there a minimum number of seats or anything?
No, actually, we do not. So there are some providers in the marketplace that are offering SaaS solutions, a handful of them, and most of them have a 3-seat minimum. We kind of feel like our solution is beneficial even for a single practitioner who's just trying to manage their business and keep it all in one spot. And so we've got a number of clients that are single-seat users.
Now, is this a browser-based solution or?
Right. So for the office staff, typically they're working through a web browser, but you can access the full application on, let's say, a tablet device. You wouldn't want to do it from your smartphone, but you sure could from a tablet device. You could run the app straight from there. But most field staff are using the mobile devices to just use our native mobile apps. The native mobile apps are one for Apple and one for Android.
Now, you have right now a basic, your basic field service software. Do you have asset management?
Actually, we've got three things coming down the pike really quickly. Number one is asset management that's coming out in February. Then we've got inventory management coming out shortly after that, and right beyond that, the customer portal. So at this point, we've got, again, the core functionality for any field service provider around their customer management and their digital workflow for their business. And then in addition to that, there's a phenomenal reporting capability baked into the base product already. So for most businesses, like our entire client base at this point, they're reaping a lot of value just from that. So as we get to asset management, it basically just opens things up for us. The same with inventory management in terms of meeting more of our customers' needs, typically larger customers that need those kind of functionalities. But basically by the end of March, we've got that full product set.
Now, when you're talking about the different tasks, when somebody, a field tech goes into the field, they have a certain number of things that they have to cover for that piece of equipment. I guess what sort of benefits are you seeing to the customers being able to do that?
Well, again, our core focus on is digitizing that workflow. We've created a very flexible process that allows pretty much any user to set up the system according to their needs. So whatever tasks they have down to a very granular level, whatever products they utilize, those can be put into the system. And then basically, in order to streamline the process, they're allowed to go in and set up bundles of tasks and associated products. So that basically, if you've got, for example, as you're saying, maybe a 15-point service they do on a particular type of equipment every 6 months or what have you, they could go in and have those 15 specific things set up as tasks, but bundle them all together as one task. When they're assigning a job, you can just put that one task on the job, and it will expand to the 15 things the tech is required to do. And on his phone, he'll see each one of those individual tasks. If it's a required task, he'll have to mark that he's actually completed it. And if they're associated products, as he completes the task, it'll prompt him for which of those products were actually used in the process. So again, it's very flexible, and part of the reason being that we're trying to meet the needs of a lot of different verticals as far as field service. And by creating the flexibility into the engine itself, we basically can recreate anyone's work order or any kind of a checklist type process, as you're asking about.
So you basically have the opportunity then, when you're developing these checklists, to basically pull the best and the brightest of your talent pool to say, okay, when you go to a job, what do you do, and make sure that everybody, whether it be a rookie, apprentice, right, all the way up to a journeyman or a guy who's been there 15 years, you all do the same thing, and they have that consistency.
That's one of the things that's kind of a side benefit of our product. Nobody really comes to us looking for that out of the box. But typically when we start talking about this process of creating these standard tasks of bundled, including little add-on and upsell pieces that can basically prompt the tech to look for opportunities to sell maintenance contracts or potentially additional products and services that can be baked in, they start to see that, oh wow, I can actually standardize my service delivery by, as you suggest, going to my most senior people and picking their brains for the standard methods they use and the tasks they use to deliver specific services, baking that into the system so that basically everyone's getting the same list of tasks to complete, everyone's getting the same information, being asked to capture the same information, etc., and basically building standards into their service delivery that before it just wasn't possible, because you have, as you were discussing, someone on one end of the spectrum in their field staff that's got extensive experience and typically is a lot faster getting jobs done because they just know that much more. And the other end of the spectrum where there's somebody who's kind of junior in the field, sort of a greenhorn, that doesn't move that fast, maybe doesn't think about doing every single task that probably should be done. So again, an added benefit to using the FieldAware software is that standardization of service delivery. And that benefit is to some degree immeasurable.
Now, these checklists aren't just yes, no kind of things. You can actually add in whether it be model numbers, serial numbers, text fields.
So you can prompt for specific data associated with a task. And the other thing you can do is we do include custom field functionality on various objects like the customer, the work order, the location, the contact, that sort of thing. So if your specific business has a need to capture information that maybe your competitors don't capture, as an example, you have flexibility to build that into the system, and then again, as you're saying, you could make that a required field on a particular task so that you're capturing additional information that, again, some other provider may not look for.
Now, what about, if you see something in the field, you have a tech that says, hey, you know what, I want to be able to document what I see here before I fix it, before I do anything. Is there a way to capture
actually,
like pictures or photos?
Right. The broader term for that is called attachments. And that's one of the features we have coming out in March as part of these other major releases that are coming over the next month or two. And basically the attachment functionality will allow them to attach any kind of a document object. So that could be particularly like a paperwork form, a certification form maybe they have to deliver or maintain. Or it could be photos, it could be a schema or some sort of schematic for a particular piece of equipment that they want to go out with a job so the guy doesn't have to carry a book around or look something up at some point. Any kind of attachment object, and that functionality is coming very shortly.
Good. Now, as far as you're talking about regular maintenance, regularly scheduled things. Now, is there going to be a method to, say, for instance, your runtime on the chiller is X. You input that, and it flags something to say, hey, you know what, maybe you need to replace the bearings.
Yes.
Is there some sort of logic that is going to be built into it?
It's part of the asset management package that's coming out on top of our Plus product it's in February. And that asset management basically allows you to track, your end customers' assets and equipment in any way you need to. So that's minimally, tracking serial numbers and warranty information, but specifically potentially tracking things like their life cycle, the MTBF for particular equipment, whatever it is. So again, you could flag that as part of tasks associated with that equipment to check specific readings on the equipment or whatever, or the hours on the machine, that sort of thing, and set up triggers around that to basically, again, prompt the tech to do the next right thing versus he doesn't think about it, leaves the job, and then 2 days later it fails because he didn't check that one specific specification on that equipment.
Now, are you able to, thinking about field service, are you able to identify where people are at? I mean, has it gone to that GPS style?
Absolutely. That's one of the kind of inherent benefits of using smart devices is that pretty much any Apple or Android device, in fact all Apple and Android devices have a built-in GPS functionality. We leverage that functionality to help the tech get to the next job more efficiently. And there's also automatic tracking of job activities. So the days of having to write down the amount of time they spent on a job onto maybe the work orders and somebody's going to collect that's all gone, because basically as tech is going through his day, starting jobs, pausing jobs, completing jobs, etc., every time he changes the status on a job, it automatically captures by GPS location where he was when he did. So the system is automatically capturing these little timestamps that can be then turned into timesheet data on the back end.
So you can actually, somebody at the who is the controller back at the office could actually see on a map, where.
We don't have the mapping functionality that would show them the whole thing throughout the day because it's a lot of data to pump on there. It wouldn't really be very consumable. But the granular data is captured in the back end for reporting purposes. Mm-hmm. So as an example, you could go through and, every job that has an assigned address, that location where that job is taking place, it's got a GPS location, very specific, right? And basically the software can check certain radius around that job and make sure that all the job activity that was tracked, the changes in the job status, that it occurs within that certain radius within the given within the specific job itself. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that answers your question, but
I guess I'm kind of curious. Sometimes I've seen dashboards of different. You're able to control your field tech.
There's right now. So there is map-based routing, and that's one of the features that's coming out over the next 2 months. I'm trying to think which one. I think that's coming with the asset management actually. And basically, what that would allow you to do is do your assignment, your scheduling, your dispatching based on a geographic map. So you would go in and say, here are all the jobs that I have scheduled. I haven't actually assigned them to people yet. I'm going to go through and do that dispatching based on the fact that we know, Johnny, for example, is going to be in this particular territory today, so he's not a good fit for this particular job, but I'll assign it to so-and-so because they are. And then beyond that, the routing for the tech would be based on, the fastest route between the jobs. So instead of going from job 1, 2, and 3, it might be faster from to do 1, 3, and 2 right, in order of driving around the city to do those jobs. So that's coming at the tail end of February.
Excellent. So now can people go and see a demo of this product, or what
Absolutely. The best way to get information is to visit fieldaware.com on the web. So that's FieldAware.com. And there's plenty of information there, and we're happy to do a custom demo for anybody on the fly whenever they want. Just give us a shout. We also have a free trial program. So if anyone wants to just kind of get in and play with the system some before they make any kind of commitment, we're happy to set you up with a production account and on a trial basis. We can get you through the training, get you up to speed, and basically prove the value to you. We can easily prove it to you within 2 weeks, the value you'll get from the system. And then, if you're ready to turn it live, we can go live at that point.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate your time, Karl. And any other last things that you want people to know about the FieldAware product that we haven't already covered?
I think the main thing to take away beyond what we've already discussed is the fact that we are a startup. Our software has been in development for about 2 years, but we've only had a market-facing office of any kind since last summer. We really came to market in the October timeframe. And the real benefit of that is, yes, we are new, but we're using the latest technologies specifically for the mobile applications. That drives our entire architecture. So as opposed to most of the other offerings in the marketplace that are hamstrung by the fact that they were originally potentially a Windows-based application or they've only ever been browser-based, they can't leverage some of the new technologies like the attachments, for example, on mobile devices because their underlying architecture can't handle that. Because we're a startup, we're committed to adding that functionality and basically building a platform that will serve the future indefinitely. And that's a big benefit for any small business who's about to make a commitment to go with automation, field service automation, and partner with a provider such as FieldAware that's basically going to be able to go with them for the long haul rather than potentially being, have shortcomings 6 or 12 months down the road.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Karl.
Thanks, man.
And Karl Schneider, VP of Marketing at FieldAware Software. Here at the floor of the AHR Expo, this is Matt Nelson.
All right, and we're back. Thanks again to Karl Schneider for taking the time out of his busy schedule to sit down and talk with us a little bit about FieldAware Software and what it does. I kind of, picking and choosing these different vendors to interview this year was a little bit easier. The one reason that I wanted to talk to Karl and sit down with FieldAware Software, I know there's a lot of vendors out there that are selling this type of service, and I think it's really critical. If you don't go with FieldAware Software, no big deal. I really don't care. I think they have a great product, and I think the fact that it's actually native on this platform on the iPads and the Androids, and it's really built for this type of smartphone. Smart tablet kind of market is really great because you don't really have to repurpose it and make this square peg fit in a round hole. They've already done it for you, but it's so critical. The critical piece of this, and I'm so glad they're coming out with the asset management side of it by March 2012. So depending on when you listen to this, you may have may have already been released. So, but it's very exciting to be able to have that knowledge in your hands to be able to make those informed decisions about equipment, about how your techs are going around and fixing things. It really does have that quality control aspect, which is very exciting and very, very, very crucial. And it really allows you to measure it. There's so much. If 5 of your 10 techs are going out there and spending twice as much time as the other 5, maybe there's some training opportunities there to be able to speed up that, to be able to do that, and really to get them into gear. And even after retraining some of those people, if it doesn't work out, maybe that's a good indication that you need to make a personnel change. As hard as that sounds, realistically, when you're dealing with these things, and this is all part of management, you really need to be able to make sure that everybody's pulling their weight. You're all there to make a profit, and obviously, being the boss, that's your main goal. You want to keep the customer satisfied because you want to be able to maintain that profit. If you can't maintain that profit, then you're jeopardizing everybody else on the team. It's the classic syndrome of everybody has to carry their weight because otherwise you're going to drag the rest of the team down. And if that leads into bankruptcy for or putting a company under. That's just not smart management. And you got to make those tough decisions every once in a while. But back again, the FieldAware software actually makes you aware of those types of things. If somebody's lagging behind and he's putting in 2 times the amount of effort into everything. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe there's people who are following up and selling those secondary services, and you just kind of lose those by the wayside. But when they make a note of it in the software, all of a sudden you can track that at the end of the year when you're doing some evaluation of your personnel. So that's really handy to be able to have that and to be able to put that into some sort of database. Some people, I don't think the paper systems are that efficient to be able to do that. And, if you're using something like Excel or something other than that, it really takes a detailed person to be able to make that work right. And I think that, FieldAware software actually brings that awareness or the ability down to, gives that power, gives that, enables the management to be able to know what their staff is doing. So there again, like I said, this is not the only software out on the market, and there's plenty of software that was actually demoed there at the AHR Expo. They actually had their own little alley way there, but I know that FieldAware software again was kind of a new kid on the block, like Evan was saying, and all right, I did that again. I don't cut these things. I don't cut them up. And so I called Karl Kevin at the very beginning of the interview, and there I did again. So I don't know why I wanted. Maybe he was a Kevin in the previous life, but Karl, I apologize for that. And but like I said, Karl was saying that they're a new startup company, and they really are working hard to gain to work for people and help them out. So they seem like a great bunch of people over there at FieldAware Software. So if nothing else, go check out their website, fieldaware.com. I'll put the link in the show notes as per usual. So closing comments, if you have any suggestions, if you have any comments, please, you can email me at matt@buildingx.co. Or you can follow me on Twitter and direct message me there if that's the thing that you want to do. And @BuildingX is my Twitter handle. Or if you just want to contact me and connect with me on LinkedIn, that's fine too. Matt Nelson PE is how you're going to find me on LinkedIn. But you should be able to do a simple search and fish through all those Matt Nelsons and find out which one is the real Matt Nelson that you want to be speaking to and connecting with. So I appreciate each and every one of you. It has been real great, and it's a really treat to go out to the McCormick Center and be able to wade through all those different vendors and talk to them for you. So I hope, not everybody gets a chance to go out to the McCormick Center and the AHR Expo. So I just kind of wanted to I did this with the 2010 Orlando show, and I finally got a chance to get back out there to the AHR Expo. Thanks again to the AHR Expo staff. They were very, very great hosts. So Roger, I appreciate that. And aside from that, just let me know if there's anything that I can do for you or anything that I could improve. So I was looking to get the high quality content out for you, and I appreciate each and every one of you listening. So as always, remember, know what you build and share what you know.